Look! Look, the dynamic duo!
Welcome to the Dynamic Duo. I'm Franz.
I'm Kevin. Welcome to the brand new Batcave and Avengers Tower, everybody. Glad to be back.
What makes the Batcave brand new?
Well, we're getting a new start here. We've been behind, but we're getting a new start. That's how I see it.
Well, lots to talk about. But before we talk about anything, one thing that we haven't talked about, actually, if you don't mind, and I know that you have a lot of subjects that you want to cover, is the Loki. And we're late in the game. Loki's done over with. But I did want to get your official opinion on Loki, the TV show from Disney.
Okay, here goes. They did 6 shows, and in my opinion, 3 of them were outstanding, and the other 3 were somewhat boring. I'm not kidding. They ran out of steam for me going into the second half. It seemed like there was so much that they wanted to encompass and get to and what have you, that it came across as a bit muddied for the remaining episodes. The first 3 to me were fantastic. I loved them. They had a certain energy to them that really, really worked. And I just thought they were outstanding. Episodes 4, 5, and 6. Personally, even though everybody raved about how they ended everything with the 6th episode, I was really not all that impressed. To be honest with you, when I watched it, I ended up falling asleep for a few minutes. And I'm not joking. I was sitting in this chair and started to drift off because there was way too much, oh, you guys don't know what's going on, there's more coming. There was too much exposition from, I'm assuming it was supposed to have been Kang. Because a lot of people are still debating as to whether or not that was Kang. I still have my doubts. But there was almost too much exposition in that final episode.
Yeah, again, we make a great team because you nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. First 3 episodes, they were good. They were good. And what made them better than they were was the anticipation of what was to come. When I say that they were good, what I mean by that is that there were some really good aspects and some questionable aspects to it. But the reason why it worked for me and the reason why I accepted it and the reason I rated it as good as opposed to mediocre was because it kept setting up something. And that anticipation was solid and real. The first episode, the way that it ended, it was like we're looking for a Loki. And it's like, oh, wow. And you get to see the danger of what Loki is, what he could be, his machination, not just his superpowers, but just how devious he is. I thought that was powerful. And the second episode, his relationship with Mobius, it showed you his cunning. It showed you how a guy can be in a place and manipulate a whole organization. It showed you all that. You're absolutely right. By the time we got to episode 4, 5, and 6, that was diluted substantially. There are a lot of questions that were not addressed and answered. Now, the whole Mobius and the time thing and the whole universe thing, that came from the comic books. Mm-hmm. But I think when you're doing that for a TV show, you need to explain to your audience why timekeepers that are all powerful, that are universally, multiversally powerful, multiverse with trillions of life forms, why they would all dress up like 1970s, DMV, that you need to have an explanation for that. Mm-hmm. You need to have an explanation as to why they're dressing the way they do, why they talk the way they do, because otherwise it just doesn't make any sense. And so So that was a very, kind of weird and lacking thing. It worked because the performances I thought were so good. I thought that Henderson brought it, and I thought that oh gosh, what's his name? Who played Mobius?
Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson. I thought there was something about him. Like there's a something about. It's not like he did a great performance, but there's something about him that you connect to, that you like, and their interaction between the two of them was just really, really good to me. And so that carried, that carried the first 3 episodes, but then it got to a certain degree of like too much silliness, like too campy. And as I was watching episodes 5 and episode 6, I was asking myself, wait, am I liking this? Is this good? And I've come to realize that if I'm asking that of a show, if I'm asking myself if it's good, it must mean it's not good. There's not,
something wrong, right?
Something is wrong, and it's not good enough to blow me away, to satisfy me. So ultimately, I was disappointed. I was let down. I could take it or leave it. And 2 things, and I'll say about that. Two things, and I want to get your feedback on that. One of the things that made me dislike the show, so even if it was pretty good, I would dislike it, is I cannot stand, Kevin, when they go out of their way to humiliate comic book fans, comic book creations, and comic book designs. I don't understand why they do that. And they do that consistently. And so what they do is they offer you the opportunity to see the comic Loki. All right, that's great. They're going to feed my ego because that's the Loki that I love. But then you go out of your way to make it look as silly and as bad as possible. They did it with Vision and Scarlet Witch. They did it with Quicksilver. They did it with Captain America in the first Avenger movie when they gave him the costume. They literally go out of their way to do a subpar cosplay costume. And because of that, you're coming for me as a fan. And I reject that. And so Loki, for me now, my official opinion of it is that I dislike it because, you know what? You tried to humiliate me. You tried to diss me. You tried to, make fun of the things that I love. That's one thing, and I want to get your feedback on that. The second thing is that I hope it's not Kang. I hope it's not Kang. And in fact, it better not be Kang, because that was horrible, Kang. I'm sorry. That's horrible, Kang. The performance, you could tell the actor is a good actor, but you could tell he's a good stage actor. And he's not yet quite, and I know he's done other things, and I'm not judging other things, but with respect to his delivery of Kang, and maybe it's the direction and not his ability, I'm not coming for him personally, but that performance wasn't good. The character wasn't good. The dialogue wasn't good. It wasn't ominous. It was silly. It was kind of weak. It didn't make sense. It didn't work at all for me. So what did you think about, how do you feel about my costume thing, and also about Kang?
One, in regard to the costumes, you couldn't be more right. I think the only reason why that's done, and this may sound like a little bit of a strange way of putting it, is with a lot of today's costume designers, set designers, etc. And again, this may sound stupid, but it's how I feel. I think so many of them have gotten into this egotistical thing of look what I did, look what I did. Isn't it so great? Isn't it so fabulous? That when they modernize these things in terms of how the Loki costume was in the Avengers movies and what have you, that going back to what the original setups were, going back to the original designs, because to me it happens with a lot of your set designs as well. It's the making fun of it is almost like, can you believe this BS that they created in 1966? Can you believe this BS that they created in 1975? That's the problem.
Yeah.
I truly think that a portion of it is really ego and nothing more. I could be completely wrong about that, but in a lot of ways, I honestly think that's what it is. I think that a lot of today's designers, for the most part, have simply been told, "Oh, you're fabulous, you're wonderful, nobody's better than you," and it's gone to a lot of their creative hits, if that makes sense. So, in order to trash or at least dismiss, I'll put it that way, a lot of the original designs, whether it's costume, whether it's the set design, or even some of the props in some cases. I think that's what it stems from.
But if I can jump in, but that's stupid to me. That's
I,
ridiculous to me.
I again, you and I are on the same page. It's a dumb way of thinking. That's why I said, please forgive me, because I know it sounds silly. But when you look at a lot of the stuff that you and I and other people grew up with, okay, even if you go on Facebook and you see a lot of people wearing, cosplay costumes or whatever, and some of them are better designed than the stuff we're seeing within the movies and television shows, okay?
Absolutely.
But you have a number of people that the minute they see representation of the past, oh man, that looks so corny, that looks so bad, that looks so, it's almost like, again, it's being dismissed because it's an ego thing. I have to admit, I like what they did to Hiddleston's uh, Loki costume for the contemporary age. I thought it worked for the big screen. What bothered me about the traditional Loki costume for the streaming show is that it did look like something that had been slapped together by somebody that was trying, let me repeat that, trying to do convention cosplay, and it was their first attempt.
That's my point.
That's exactly what it looked like.
That's
And I realize that's your point. The only to your statement a few moments ago about it being stupid and about it being silly. Again, I think a lot of it is ego run amok. It's simply the idea of, we're not going to do this. We're not going to do this. Now, let me say this very quickly about the costume thing, and I'll move on to your next question. Have you noticed that in a lot of ways, not that I know the entire universe, but you can tell the contemporary fans from your classic fans like myself, you, your brother, and others, because when folks are doing cosplay on Facebook and what have you, and they're showcasing it, you can tell by way of the comment. Somebody that grew up with the material when it's well done is like, man, damn it, you nailed that. Other people are like, oh man, that looks so bad. It's like I said, to me, it's just ego. And unfortunately, because there's money involved and all that kind of thing, they're not told to stop.
That's exactly right. That's exactly correct. And I agree with you that it has to be an ego thing. But what I mean to say is that you're right. It's what when they go back and they go, oh, look how silly, look how stupid, look how ridiculous. But they must be afraid of this ridiculousness because why not throw, there's a fan base. There's a fan base of our generation that grew up on this stuff. All right, you're not gonna do our material because you think it's too stupid and too silly. All right, you're going to redesign the costumes because you think they're too ridiculous to be accepted by normal people. All right, I disagree, but that's how you feel about it. But you still know that you have a fan base, and that fan base is driving your success. Make no mistake about it. Take us out of the equation, and these movies will tank. They will tank. Instead of making 400 million, they'll make 100 million or 150 million or 100 million. We not only go see the movies, but we talk to our friends, we hype it up, we blah, blah, blah. It's all over the internet and so on and so forth. Comic book fans of many generations are driving this thing. So you know there's and the older generation, the people that grew up on the classic costume is still very much part of that drive. In fact, more so than the younger generation. There's more of us than there are of the new kids, of the 12-year-olds, because the comic books are not drawing in new kid fans. So you know you have that population. Yet you don't respect that population. You don't respect the material that that population grew up with. You think it's too silly. Okay, I get it. You don't want to do that costume. I accept that. But within your storyline, you have to develop that costume. You're gonna put that costume within your storyline. Why not throw that audience a bone? Why not make that costume look as good as it could possibly look? Why not put some effort into it? Your point, you're absolutely right. They go out of their way to make it like a bad cosplay costume. They go out, it's an effort. If you take a look at this, and if you take a look at that, and if you take a look at this, what you're gonna find is that they're trying to make it look bad. Some of it sometimes looks worse than actual cosplay costume. Like it looks more ridiculous. When Vision is wearing shorts, boxer shorts, come on, dude, like what are you trying to do? And when Captain America's mask barely fits, like you're trying. So why do that? Why throw away that capital that you have with us, with the audience, by insulting us? Like that doesn't make sense. And because you're trying to insult us, you know what? Go to hell. And so for that reason, I reject Loki. Wow. What's your opinion on Kang?
Like you, I'm hoping that wasn't Kang. Personally, I don't think it was. The real reason why I say I don't think it was is because I believe Marvel is holding Kang for a big screen appearance as opposed to Disney Plus. I believe the only reason why folks have said, "Oh, it was Kang," is because of the color scheme they used for his costume with the purple. I thought the actor, as you pointed out, did a great job. There is supposed to be a lot going on with Kang eventually making a movie appearance. And I just think that's what Disney and Marvel are holding out to do. I can't really believe, not that there was anything wrong with the idea of bringing him in that way, but I can't really believe that they would take such a pivotal character, bring him in the last episode of that show, let him monologue for, what was it, 10 minutes? Almost 15 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
Let him do his thing and then say bye. Because if you noticed, he never even is introduced as Kang. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
They never cough up a name. So that's the other reason why I don't believe it was him. But to kind of support the other end of the fan base that's going crazy across the world and across the internet, if it was at the same time, shame on all those who did it because it didn't fit.
Agreed. It didn't fit. It's not a good Kang. It wasn't ominous enough. He wasn't dangerous enough.
Nope.
He was kind of weak. And oh my God. So supposedly Kang is supposed to be introduced as the next Marvel ultimate villain.
Yeah.
there's no way that guy could be the next Marvel Ultimate villain. There's no way. I'm so sorry. That delivery. You compare that to Thanos. Come on. There's no way, and there's no way I could imagine that Kang and Fantastic Four.
Right.
No, please, I'm begging you, Marvel, please. All right, guys. So listen, I hope you like and you. I hope you like this conversation, and I hope you like and subscribe to our show. Help us out, and join us for the next topic in the next conversation.
We are still here.
This looks like a job for Superman.
Hey, look! It's Spider-Man!
The dynamic duo return next week. Don't miss it.